This race is called the Jogle. It's from John O'Groats to Land's End. It's 860 miles and you have to average 50 miles a day for 17 days. This virus hit and it all went to pot, but the race was a go.
How many days had you done before it was stopped?
So it started on the Friday. First day was 35 miles. Second day was something like 45 miles or 50 miles. Sunday was just about 50 miles. And then we got the news that the race had to be cancelled. It wasn't necessarily because of the coronavirus. It was because the organisers, they got negative comments. At that point, we decided we can't travel, run down to Fort William with all these threats and really nasty messages.
Hi, my name is Michelle Lewis. 10 years ago, you'd have been lucky to see me run to the end of the road. These days, running is second nature to me. From marathons to park runs to putting my own running group through their paces. You'll often see me in suitably loud attire, getting ready to pound the pavements. And here's a secret. If I can do it, you can too. There's so many wonderful and inspiring stories in the world of running. And not just running, some of my favourite tales involve those who take to their wheelchairs, bikes or simply their own trusty feet in an attempt to get fitter, faster or just have some fun. In this podcast, I'm going to be in conversation with some of the most inspiring and fascinating of these people. Remember, it's your time, your speed, your way. The only person you need to keep up with is yourself.
On this week's podcast, I've got Michael Williams from Northampton Road Runners and also a Northampton Park runner. I don't know much about Michael, so I'm quite looking forward to having a chat with him. The reason why is this is a man that I know even this year in 2020 has done quite a lot of miles. So without further ado, let's find out who is Michael Williams. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So can you just tell us then, I know you from Northampton Park Run. Basically, can you just tell us your running history?
Well, yeah, I started running like the park run 2012, I think it started. So the first year it started, I was running it. So I've been running not since then. Even going back further, I started running in 2002. My sister died of pancreatic cancer, and at the time I was a member of a gym. I decided to run for cancer research.
Yes.
So in 2004, I did my first marathon. At the end of that marathon, I said, no way am I going to do anything else, any more running.
We all say that.
3 weeks later, I was booking my next marathon for the next year, and I kept on doing that, and it ended up doing 10 London marathons for a charity called AICR, which is a cancer research charity that researches into minority cancers. So I stuck with them for 10 years and raised over £20,000, I think it was.
So if I could stop you there. So really, what got you running was the grief of your sister. Before that,
Correct.
You wouldn't get your trainers on and run round a park. What was your exercise before that?
Yeah, I was a member of a gym at Smearway.
So you're fairly fit, but
Yeah,
running itself wasn't
doing much running outside.
Yes.
Yeah, so then I decided to run the marathon and started training and realised you just can't get in just like that. So I had to go through the ballot. I didn't get in through the ballot, eventually got a place with this charity.
Is this your first marathon we're talking about? Your first one.
My first marathon for golden ticket place for these charities.
And is this the London Marathon we're talking
London
about?
Marathon.
Okay, yes.
My second marathon was in New York, believe it or not.
Wow, I'm meant to be doing New York this year, so please don't talk about that just yet with everything going on.
Yeah.
You went from doing London to the following year thinking, well, 3 weeks later, I'm never doing that again. Oh, hang on, yes, I will. I'll do an international one. I'll just go and do New York, which has 50,000 runners.
Yeah.
What made you, 3 weeks later after your first marathon, suddenly change your mind to then enter a bigger marathon?
No, no, it leaves a hole, doesn't it? When you do a marathon, anybody who ever's run a marathon may say at the time, no way am I going to run another marathon. And then after that, you kind of the week after my marathons anyway, I feel a bit down because I want, I want to do the next
Big
thing.
thing.
And the next 2 or 3 weeks, I was thinking, I've got to do it again. Because I really enjoy. You forget the pain you go through, and you want to do it again. And yeah, so from there it just kind of built up. And
So at that point, you was only doing one marathon a year. So your first
yes,
10 marathons. Just so the listeners
well, not
know,
not
you
necessarily one
no.
marathon a year. There was maybe 3 or 4 years in that 10 years where I may have done a couple of marathons. So
But
like,
what was it that made you continue doing the marathon? Is it the fact that you felt it was still a challenge to you?
yeah, yeah, it was definitely a challenge to anybody. And I think I'd done Silverstone half marathon leading up to the London about 8 or 9 times as well. So, and I mean that was a nice little warm up race for the London.
Is it fair to say you're a late runner? It's your birthday this week. We're in mid-May. I'll be fair to him there. And that you're 69. So,
Correct.
you'll be 69 this week. Congratulations.
Yeah, on Thursday. Yeah, thank you.
So how many marathons have you done
Um,
at the present time?
just marathons. I'm not talking about ultras.
No, just marathons.
25 to 30. I've not really counted, to be honest. I don't really keep count like that. I'm not going for the 100 marathon club.
Okay, I was going to ask if you
Doing
was.
marathons as they come, like.
Yeah. So what's been your favourite marathon?
My favourite marathon. It's got to be a toss-up between London and New York. There's been some other lovely marathons. I've done the Loch Ness Marathon, Snowdon Marathon, Beachy Head Marathon. So,
I did Beachy Head
lovely.
last year. My last marathon. It was painful.
Oh, it was brilliant. I've done that in 2005, 2006, I think it was. Yeah.
So, so you've done your marathons to the fact that you don't even know how many you've done, which I love. Are you about time, or is it just for you, just doing the distance, 26.2 miles for charity?
I like to do a time. Yeah, I like to get under 4 hours. If I can get under 4 hours in my age group, I will get a automatic entry the following year, as long as there's not too many in my age category get through now. It's used to be automatic. Now I think it's the first 3,000 males that get automatic with their age categories.
Excuse me. You're 69 and you're telling me that you get like around 4 hours. Wow. So what is your fastest time, and what is your average time? I know every marathon's different, so you cannot really say, oh, I got a PB, but what was your fastest marathon, and which marathon was that?
It was in 2012. How can I forget? And it was 3 hours, 25 minutes and 8 seconds.
Wow.
That was my fastest. I have done,
Is that London?
that's London, a couple more under 3 hours 30. And one of them was the Shakespeare Marathon.
Yes, I've done that, 2 loops, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so at the moment, I mean, last year, 3 hours, 42 minutes, I think it was. I was going for 3 hours, 33 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay, I have to ask why.
You can have to ask why. Because my number was 3,333.
Okay.
33,333, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, yes. And
So,
did you missed it, obviously?
yeah, I didn't get it. No, I was going for it, and then but I kind of lost concentration and slowed up a little bit. And I knew last 6 miles I weren't going to get it, so I just jogged in like this.
So, okay, so you've done your marathons. Now, I know you as an ultra runner. So can we talk about how did you jump from a marathon to an ultra, and what was that first ultra, and how did you become addicted?
My first ultra was the Race the Wall Ultra from Carlisle to Newcastle, which is 69 miles. I've done that in 2016, I think it was. Three years on the trot. I've done 3 of them, 16, 17 and 8. Could have been 15, 16 and 17. I'll get it right. And I also done Race to the Stones.
Yes.
I've done that one a couple of times now.
Have you done the Shires one in Northampton?
Yes, I've done that. I've done that last year. And race the Roads of the Shires and
Yes.
the Spars. I've done them last year. What I did last year was in February, I'd done the Snowdon Slate Trail Ultra, which is 90 miles. Summer Rebellion in July, which is 135 miles.
Are we saying, when you're telling me about these ultras, are these all in one day or over a couple of days?
No, these are over 2 or 3 days. The Snowdon was over 2 days, Snowdon Slate Trail Ultra. The Summer Rebellion, it was the Glendale Way, that's it, the Glendale Way. It's in Wales and it runs all the way through Wales, through villages I can't pronounce, and finishes in Oswestry. So, and I actually won that race. But I have to say,
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Okay. How many people can I ask? Was you the only one?
yeah. I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you that there was only 12 in that race. There was the Summer Rebellion and the Summer Rebellion. There was like a half, so it's only 75 miles.
Only. I love it.
Yeah, I know. So there was, I think, 32 altogether doing this race, and it was a combination of the 2 different distances, and only 12 were doing the 135 miles. And yeah, so I got to 100 miles thinking I was in 3rd or 4th place, and one of the organisers could see me because they were tracking me,
Yes.
and said, "You're winning, Michael." What? I'd never won a race in my life. So actually, I did pick up the pace then. So I started running from 2 miles an hour to maybe 3 miles an hour. So I accelerated.
Yes. Wow. After, like, I've only done 100 miles. Oh, I'll pick up speed, seeing as I'm winning, as you do.
Yeah. But also, I have to say, there was 25,000 feet of elevation throughout this race.
Yeah.
So ups and downs,
Wow.
lots of ups and downs through mid Wales. And towards the end of the race, on the 3rd night, now this one was over 3 nights.
Okay.
On the 3rd night, I started maybe hallucinating a little bit because I only had 1 hour's sleep in the whole of the race, so I was a little bit tired, and I think it was about mile 124, 25. I come to this farm, and there was a farm nearby, and there was a field full of cows. It was full of cows. And I was into the middle. There were cows all round this style where you get over into the field, and I had the torch. It was pitch black. I could shine it across. I could see the exit.
Yes.
I couldn't possibly get into that field. Well, I did. Actually got into it, and all the cows were getting closer and closer. And I got 10 metres in. I thought, there's no way I can dash over there and get out before they
Yes.
stampede me. So I had to jump out quick. So I had to make my way round this field, round through this farm, which is close by, through the farmyard. And I couldn't get back to the exit very well. I had to go round another field, got back to the exit, And lo and behold, the guy who was in second place
Caught up.
this field, and we met up.
Okay.
And it was so weird. I must have had a surge of adrenaline or something, because I just shot off. We said our hellos, some pleasantries, and I thought, I really wanted to win this, and
Yes.
because I'd never won a race in my life. So I shot off and left him behind. He couldn't keep up. And I thought, because I had this kind of shot of adrenaline, that's all I can put it down to. Or
Yes.
I just, I, he, I looked round and the guy was nowhere to be seen. And anyway, a little bit later, I think I must have went round in a bit of a circle, got lost a bit in this field. And I think we both were getting lost, and we bumped into each other again, and decided to help each other to the end, because we still had about 10 miles, 12 miles to go at that point.
Yes.
Decided to help each other instead of trying to race each other, because we were getting nowhere. So it was a joint effort. We first come in first.
Oh, that's good. Did you hold hands as you crossed the line to make sure?
Well, it was funny. It was late at night. There, there was a finish line, but you could barely see. It was in this car park, and there was like this scout hut at the end of the car,
Yes.
and that's where the finish line was. And we had to walk into the scout hut to see the organizer there, who congratulated us. I mean, there wasn't nobody about. It's just us two. Yeah.
The first race you win, and there's no big whoa, well done.
Yeah.
It's just like you had
Oh,
to
my
find
wife,
someone to prove that you'd finish.
I must say, my wife was there. She had to pick me up. She was there. She was the only one to clap me in.
So, can I ask, is there a running joke with you and cows in fields
With
amongst your fellow runners?
some of my mates, they had a little go when it comes to cows, yeah, because they're saying you're seeing you're hallucinating again.
Oh.
Some of my running friends, they have a go at me at that, yeah.
So you've done that, and then you decided 2020 you was going to do a big challenge. Now, is this because you wanted to do something big before your 70th? Or what was the reason why you wanted to do, and I'll let you explain what the race was, why you wanted to do this big race over so many days?
I have a number of races on my bucket list that I want to do before I retire from running. And I've been thinking about this race this race, by the way, is called the Jogle. It's from John O'Groats to Land's End. It's 860 miles, and you have to average 50 miles a day for 17 days. So this race is just one of my races on my bucket list, so to speak. And so for the last 18 months, I've been thinking about it, and I wanted to do it, and it was all go.
And how many of you was at the start line when you started?
There was only 6 of us mad enough to start it.
And what was the date that you started? Because we'll lead to why you couldn't finish.
20th of March.
Yeah, 20th of March, yes.
So, so travelled up on the 17th, travelled up to Scotland on the 17th. Obviously, this virus hit and it all went to pot, but the race was a go. It was a go ahead. And so...
How many days had you done before it was stopped?
So it started on the Friday. First day was 35 miles, only 35 miles. Second day was something like 45 miles or 50 miles. And that was on the Saturday. Sunday was just about 50 miles. and then we got the news that race had to be cancelled.
So how was you doing in that weekend? How was you doing amongst the six of you? Was you doing well? Was you keeping
I
up?
was
Was
doing
you
well.
confident?
Yeah, I was. Put it like this: on the third day, two had already dropped out. This was on the Sunday. Two had already dropped out. They were. I don't think they. There's a lot of money. They were raising money for a charity, the charity Kids Go Free or something. Kids Run Free, I think it is, which is the charity of the organisers, Ultra Running Limited. If you can raise £3,000 or £4,000 for that charity, you can do the race free for
Okay.
the small admin charge. So the two that dropped out actually raised that amount of money, so they weren't worried if they dropped out or not.
Oh, okay. So
But one had a bad foot, ankle. Another had a bad back, I think it was. I'm not sure. Not sure the reasons why.
but there was
So
4 of you left as a
I
result.
was left on the Sunday, so they only done 2 days and decided that was enough for them.
So how was you told? Monday morning before you
No,
started or Sunday
no,
night?
it was Sunday night. We were sitting. We was all summoned downstairs, and we was told the news. It wasn't necessarily because of the coronavirus coming. We could have only have ran one more day anyway. It was because the organisers, they do a report and put that online on their Facebook page, so everybody could see what's happening, and we could all be tracked as well. So, and they got over 100, I think 100 hits, negative comments on this race because of the coronavirus.
Oh,
But we were, yeah, this was on the Sunday evening, and at that point we decided we can't travel, run down to, um, I think it's down to Fort William, um, and with all these threats and really nasty messages, the organisers said we just can't guarantee your safety. Um,
oh,
that was on the Sunday. Believe it or not, if we'd have run on the Monday, we would have had to have come home anyway, because it was Monday night. Boris Johnson said, it's all lockdown. We're locking down.
yes.
So we were, whatever was going to happen was going to happen, and we were going to obey.
But the fact that the initial reason why they cancelled the
Yeah,
race was because of social media and the threats from other, I take it, other runners.
yeah, other runners and people just didn't want them running because
Do
of
you
the,
feel it was because of they were worried for your safety and they felt by being in a threatening manner would make you realise, or do you?
probably. I don't really know. I didn't really see a lot. I didn't really see the comments. I know one of the other runners, he saw the comments and he just shook his head. He says, "It's no way. I'm gonna run down to Fort William."
Knowing now what has happened and even park run being cancelled, do you feel that was the best decision made and totally understand, and that helps you mentally that it wasn't you that stopped the race?
Oh yeah,
This is a
definitely.
global pandemic.
You can see it's a global pandemic. I mean, we went along with the organisers. The organisers were getting advice as well all the time. When we started, the hotels were open, the restaurants were even open. Not until the end of the first day on the Friday, or yeah, the Friday night, it was restaurants. You can only do takeaways. Restaurants
Yes.
do takeaways. So by the end of the first day, it was takeaway food. So, okay, wasn't pleasant to
And it's
hear
not
that.
good. Yeah, not
Yeah.
good to run on either, is it,
No.
really? Knowing now, up until this point, before the virus came in and affected us all, I remember looking at your Strava and thinking, oh, I'm glad that I did 3-4 miles today. And then you pop up saying, oh, I've done 32 miles or plus today. And you're just thinking, my Strava, Michael's Strava. Okay, I'll most probably be lucky if I reach that total in 1 week. You do it in 1 day. And you was doing this every day. What was your training plan up until for this race?
Okay, I wasn't actually doing 30 odd miles. Um, I was doing. It was a kind of gradual build up through from Christmas all the way up to the race. I normally build it up for 3 weeks, then have a rest the fourth week, or an easier fourth week, then start building it up again and go even higher with the mileage. And yes, I got up to 107 miles 1 week, 103 miles, 107 miles. So yeah, so over a weekend period, I would do 3 long runs, 25, 30, 35 miles. And yeah, I ended up with my highest mileage, I would say, being about 107 miles. Yeah.
So
So
now, like the rest, everyone's lowered their exercise mileage. What have you been doing with yourself?
I've been ticking over. I mean, like I say, the first week back, I did go out for a run. I mean, I think we completed in 3 days 131 miles in those 3 days. And I got back Monday evening. So I think on the Wednesday, I went out for a 5 mile run. And then by the Friday, I was coming down with this. I had a chest infection and had to isolate myself, thinking it was COVID, but it wasn't. It was a really bad chest infection,
Thankfully. Mm.
thankfully. I didn't run for 18 days. But then, since then, I've started running. I'm back up to about 30 miles, 35, 40 miles per week. Yeah, I'm just going to tick over at the moment because some of my other long runs obviously been cancelled.
Yes. What other runs did you have plans for
Well,
2020?
I'm supposed to have been doing London again. And then in July, there's Endure 24 in Leeds, which I was doing solo. I was hoping to 100 miles there. Into the end of July was the Lakelands 100. Again, been cancelled, and that's 100 miles. And that's really hard. And then the creme de la creme race, as I call it, UTMB. And
Okay, explain.
it's UTMB is Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, which is in France, starts in France, Chamonix in France, goes through to Italy, does a kind of anti-clockwise motion through France, through into Italy, and in Switzerland, and back to France, and ends up in Chamonix. So you circumnavigate Mont Blanc. For trail running, this is, like I say, the creme de la creme of trail running.
And how
It's
many miles is that?
106 miles. So,
Okay.
and I should be hearing, I'm absolutely 100% convinced it's going to be cancelled. We had a family holiday booked as well, coinciding with this race in Chamonix. So we had 10 days in Chamonix. My wife, daughter, son, 3 granddaughters.
So it's going to be a big family affair,
What's going
this
to be a big
race.
family fair, but I cannot see us getting out of the country this year because I think we've been told there'll be no travelling.
Race, yeah, no travelling.
All these places that I've missed out on will go through, hopefully through till next year.
You've got these races, which I thought the Jogle was enough, but no, it sounds like you've got another 3 or 4. You had plans, which highly likely will be next year's plans now.
Yeah.
When is, you're going to be 70 next year. When was you planning on retiring, or was you never going, does retirement don't ever enter your head?
Well, at the moment, retirement's not entering my head. No, I'm going to carry on running as long as I'm fit enough and able to.
But are you going to carry on running ultras for as long as you can?
Yeah, there's no reason that. I've done a number of ultras in 2018. I've done I don't know if you heard of Centurion Running.
Yes, yes.
4 of their races in 2018 and done the Grand Slam. It's called the Grand Slam of ultras, which was Thames Pathway, South Downs Way, North Downs Way, and there's an Autumn 100 race. I did them, so you get a buckle for each, and if you do all 4, you get a bigger buckle. So that was like on my bucket list. I've done that now, and I just think now I had this other race, the Jogle, on my mind, so I wanted to do that. Couldn't quite. Obviously, we started 3 days of it, and felt like I could go on and give that a good shot. Whether I could complete it, I don't know. But I'm going to have another go next year and have a go at that. Yeah, I'll be 70 next year. I don't know. There's a few other races that I want to look at.
What is it about ultra that's keeping you going? Do you like the traveling? Do you like the feeling of just being in control and you challenge yourself so much?
It's the adventure. It's being in these wonderful places, beautiful scenery. We're running with seeing the wildlife as well. It's just, last year I done the Pembrokeshire 100. Didn't tell you about that one, I don't think. And it's the coastal path run, and I completed that in 34 hours. I think it was. There was a 36-hour cut-off time, and it goes along these cliff tops. They're about 200 or 300 foot deep on the Pembrokeshire coastline, and it's very undulating, very, very tough. And after I've done 50 miles in I think it was 10 hours. First 10 hours.
Wow.
I done the miles. Then I fell over, and I was all right. Felt, and this was like 6 feet away from a cliff edge with a 200 foot drop. I thought, oh my word. And it really shook me up. And I got up, brushed myself off, and saw the edge. I had a bright headlight because this was pitch black.
Wow.
You can't run on these paths.
No.
A strong torch, and so I carried on running. It really shook me up. But then I could hear things. It was so magical at night. You can hear things that you can't necessarily hear in the daytime. I heard there was like seals on the shore, because I could hear the waves crashing against the beach. So I weren't far away, but I could hear the seals singing, whatever they do, and making a noise. And that was, for me, that was magical. And then I looked up when I was running. It was pitch black. There was no pollution, and it was no clouds in the sky, and the stars are out. Like I say, and I heard that sound, and I thought, hang on, don't look up. You're like 2 or 3 feet away from a cliff. So, but yeah, that sort of, I run for those moments.
That sounds magical.
My peace and tranquility was absolutely dashed. Coming across, I was on the path, on the Pembrokeshire path, coastal path. Of course, it goes through farmland, and this farmer in a 4x4, it's got all his lights blazing away, coming across this field towards me. I thought, what's going on here? So I just carried on running, keep looking, and he stopped. He wanted to know what I was doing. That 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. I said, well, I'm in a race. I'm in a race.
Please tell me you didn't pause your Garmin.
No, I didn't pause my Garmin. Oh, come on, that would be silly, Michelle. No, I showed him my number and he was quite happy and he went off. But that shook me up as well. I was quite intimidated, to be honest. But yes, when I think back, I think back with fondness on some of these races. But there's other races like the South Downs Way and through the Glendale Way. All these races, they got their own dynamic feel to them and different aspects of them, like the hills or the South Downs or even the North Downs with all those horrible steps. When I done the North Downs Way, the temperature was 32 degrees.
Oh.
2018. It was 32 degrees. It was hot in the morning for the first 10 miles, and the temperature just soared. And
how did you manage with that? How
after field of 250 dropped out. I done it in 27 hours. But I at each checkpoint you stop, you top up with your waters, have something to eat, drink, take on board some food. But if you push it too hard, I find you could overheat. I have in the past been a bit nauseous, but I've been able to finish a race without being sick.
Have you ever not finished a race because your body, you had to make the decision, not someone else?
I have never DNF'd in a race, apart from the parkrun.
Oh, please tell me what happened.
I pulled a muscle. I pulled my calf muscle, and I was out of running for about 8-9 weeks.
So you do ultras, like hundreds of miles over a couple of days, and then you do a park run, which is 5 kilometers, and you pull a muscle.
Exactly.
Michael, that is just the funniest thing.
It wasn't funny. I was like bare with a sore head. My wife didn't like it because I was, I couldn't go out running, and I was a bear with a sore head in our home.
So you are a park runner. So how many park runs have you done?
Oh, I've done 198.
Oh, so close to the 200.
I know. And I was hoping to do that like the week after I come back.
And please tell me you have volunteered in that 198 times. Do you enjoy volunteering?
Volunteered, probably a dozen times or something like that, yeah.
What's your favourite volunteer position? Marshal?
Marshal, yeah. Marshal, I like to encourage people. I've been down to Brian's spot on the race course, volunteered there.
At Northampton Park Run, for those listeners that don't know, we have Brian's Corner, and that's a park runner called Brian Lewin, who's in his 70s and is always there on a Saturday morning, cheering everyone on, loud and proud. So it's an honour if he's not able to attend and you're a marshal. That's why we say we've done the corner.
Yeah, so I love volunteering. I've scanned, barcoded as well, and
So to end this, Michael, what I have to ask is, what is your must-have when you're running, when you're doing marathon or ultras? What is the must-have that you take with you? It could be food, it could be a lucky charm. What do you have that's like, I've got to have this on my journey?
Well, over the years, I do take sweets out with me. M&Ms in the Jogle. I thought, well, I want something to eat that is nice, and so I'll have some salted peanuts because you crave salty foods, and I'll mix that with M&M chocolate covered nuts and raisins, M&M type sweets, and salted nuts, and I'll mix them all together, and I'll dip into them and eat them when I feel like cake, lots of cake.
Of course. You wouldn't be a park runner if you didn't mention cake. But one thing I did want to mention, I didn't before, was that you are a Northampton road runner, and I have noticed in the past year alone that there's a large number now doing ultra running. They're not doing a marathon; they've moved on to ultra. How do you feel now that you've got other members in your club?
I think I've inspired a few people, I must say, and I'm really happy about that, because there was others doing ultras in the club when I joined, and they kind of looked at me, a bit. Are you sure you want to do? I think it was the first one when I joined the club was the South Downs Way. So yeah, doing that was good, but yeah, since doing that 3 years ago, I think I have inspired a few of us to do some longer runs.
Yeah, you are the daddy of ultras.
That's okay, Michelle.
What would you say to someone that's at marathon level, like myself, to encourage me or give me the motivation to make that next step to an ultra?
If you was thinking of doing an ultra, I think like the Shards and Spires, which is only 35 miles, it's not that much further than the marathon, 26 miles. What you've got to remember, running a marathon, most people kind of run to exhaustion when you finish a marathon. If you've run it as hard as you can, you finish it and you're kind of dead on your legs. You can't run another step. And I used to think, doing that, how can I possibly run any further? How can I possibly think about running an ultra 30, 40, 50 miles? You have to change your mindset. You have to start running a little bit slower, say 2 or 3 minutes per mile slower than your normal marathon pace. So the marathon becomes a sprint, and compared to running an ultra. So if you wanted to do it, you have to start doing, you may already do a little bit of walking, running, run a lot, walk a little bit. Even I do that, especially in some of the longer runs. And you start going uphill, you have to walk up the hills. But if you're thinking of doing an ultra, you have to start, I think you have to do a marathon first. You have to build up to that marathon, but then, yeah, just
Go for it.
Slow down your pace and build up your stamina to run further, run longer.
Well, on that note, I think being 24 years younger than you, I have no excuse not to at least to attempt one. So I think I will make 2021 my year of an ultra, and I hope that you're part of it to see me if I do it.
As you can tell, it can cause trouble if you chat to Michael Williams for too long. Looks like I better get training for an ultra. I really loved hearing about the way Michael embraces nature when he's on these incredible runs, and how running an ultra isn't the race that a marathon can be for some. I doubt it makes it any easier when you're 60, 70, 80 or more miles in, but ultra running and its run/walk-in philosophy does sound an almost relaxing and less pressured way to run. Remember, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a rating or review if you listen on Apple. It helps us reach more people. Thanks for listening today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on the Running Tales podcast.